Welcome. Please remain standing for the posting of the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I am truly honored to stand before you today and welcome you to our graduation ceremony for the class of 2016 for John Adams Academy. Family, friends, loved ones, and graduates, welcome. Class of 2016, we live in a time where our character, values, and the work ethic of our nation are under attack. This country, established by those seeking freedom, has slipped into complacency. As you step out onto your own and begin a life outside the walls of our academy, you are faced with a choice that will shape who you are and what you will become. Aristotle said, excellence is an art, won by training and habituation. We do not act rightly because we have virtue or excellence, but we rather have those because we have acted rightly. What we are, we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Scholars, what will your choice be? Will you choose to work diligently, act rightly, choose virtue, and pursue excellence? Or will you slip into the commonly held practice of entitlement, expected rights, and low work ethic? I believe your choice is simple. Will you embrace the core values instilled in you within the walls of John Adams Academy, or will you leave them simply as a poster on the wall? Will you give way to the cultural norms of our modern society, or will you stand? All great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a simple word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, and hope. These are the words of Winston Churchill, a strong man full of fire and principle, and they still ring true today. It is my hope for you that you make this simple choice, a choice for freedom, for justice, for honor, for duty, mercy, and hope. That you work diligently to establish these virtues as the character that you are known by. Although simple, this choice might be a difficult one, as I'm sure your family and friends here today can tell you. At times, your hands may be calloused and your friends may be few, but you will have the depth of character that each man and woman who desires to restore America's heritage must possess. And in turn, you will have the satisfaction of knowing that you stood for something bigger than yourselves. Winston Churchill, in the face of war, possible death and destruction of his nation, and great sadness, implored his nation to never, never, never give up. I've seen this quality in so many of you scholars already, and I ask the same of you. Please stand strong, work hard, and choose wisely. I am so thrilled to be sharing this evening with you, and I'm so thankful that your family and your friends are here to usher you into this new step and new place in your life, and I wish you all the very best. I would now like to welcome our founder, Dr. Dean Foreman.
Thank you. Congratulations. This year marks 40 years ago on the 20th year, or I should say 200th year anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, when I graduated from high school. In fact, the 40-year reunion's coming up quickly. I recall wanting one thing: independence. Can you relate to that? Independence is an innate yearning that changed the world in 1776 and many times since. The passion for liberty defines and creates empires, nations, states, businesses, families, and in our case, 5 years ago, a charter school. I would like to share with you briefly what 40 years has taught me about principles of independence. Principle number 1. Persistence in finishing brings liberty and freedom. Challenges to finishing an assignment, a class, or a college degree will always exist regardless of your chosen major. The key is to find your passion, finish classes, and earn your degree or advancement as you're doing today. I remember falling in love early in my college career with financial planning. As I progressed to the end, there were a couple of classes that required me to learn and apply financial mathematics. Even with a new calculator made for such, it was difficult for me to master. However, as I worked at it, I started to understand how to find the solutions. Solutions solved problems, which finished assignments. Those principles of financial independence and mathematics have been indispensable in helping me advise my clientele on their financial independence. If I had changed my major because of this roadblock, it would have provided temporary relief from hard work, but this would have left me chained to these deficits forever as a mediocre advisor. It did require me to be humble enough to take personal responsibility and courageous enough to take the initiative to work and persist through my learning assignments. This success then provided me with the supreme power of occupational choice and greater freedom. Whatever you choose to do, will require working through what appears at times to be the less glamorous parts of learning. What seems to be mundane or boring will provide you fresh perspective and freedom that will be liberating and exciting, because you have overcome and blazed new trails of understanding. I love the perspective expressed by Dostoevsky. Quote, "There is only one thing I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings." I believe one way we show this worthiness is in overcoming our perceived or self-imposed limitations by completing and finishing what we begin. Some 7 years ago, I was at the point of abandoning my dream of John Adams Academy due to no facility, a lost financial grant, and a mountain of bureaucratic roadblocks. At that time, I expressed my disappointment that I did not think I would finish the academy with a friend. I received this email in return, quote, "Due to the economic crisis, it seems that so many of the grant and loan resources that charter schools have drawn upon in recent years have become very unreliable. The facilities issues also have been vexing. I have been trying my best to come up with creative solutions that we can apply to fix these issues, but even someone with my years of experience in the field finds it difficult to plug the $1 million hole that the state has caused in the budget. I have been reminded through this process that experience is necessary, but may not be sufficient to navigate the stormy waters caused by the financial crisis. In this way, too, I have been humbled. Thank you so much for all that you have done to make our collective dream of a charter school come to life. Many others would have given up long ago, but your patience and steady hand have kept the process on track. Let's finish the race." Guess what? We finished. That's why you are here today. You have finished one race of hopefully many to come. Number 2, independence puts you in a position of self-control and discovery of self-transcendence. What are your dreams? How will you know when you find them? Your ultimate goal is not independence or self-actualization or what will this give me, but self-transcendence or what can I give with who I become. Dr. Viktor Frankl came to a point of having a clear path to freedom to escape the concentration camp with a friend. In his words, I quote, "I made a quick last round of my patients who were lying huddled on the rotten planks of wood on either side of the huts. I came to my only countryman who was almost dying and whose life it had been my ambition to save in spite of his condition. In a tired voice, he asked me, 'You too are getting out?' I denied it, but I found it difficult to avoid his sad look. After my round, I returned to him. Again, a hopeless look greeted me, and somehow I felt it to be an accusation. The unpleasant feeling that had gripped me as soon as I had told my friend I would escape with him became more intense. Suddenly, I decided to take fate into my own hands for once. I ran out of the hut and told my friend that I could not go with him. As soon as I had told him with finality that I had made up my mind to stay with my patients, the unhappy feeling left me. I did not know what the following days would bring, but I had gained an inward peace that I had never experienced before. I returned to the hut, sat down on the boards at my countryman's feet to comfort him. Then I chatted with others, trying to quiet them in their delirium. The sum total of our life's work will be how we have used our independence, time, and gifts to help others. This is where we leave self behind and build the legacy of others. This is where We, in the process, are the greatest beneficiaries. The change of our thinking or paradigm shift comes as we work through challenges and discover. As Ralph Waldo Emerson stated, quote, "It is one of the most beautiful compensations of life that no man can sincerely try to help another without helping himself." This brings us to the third principle, interdependence. Self-transcendence takes us from the land of selfies, self-actualized, self-absorbed, self-centered, and independence to the highest of all realms, that of independence or interdependence. Interdependence is a choice only independent people can make, where we will work with others. Synergy is the highest activity of interdependence. It comes from the Greek synergy, that is, meaning together plus work, or working together, implying a higher purpose. This is where we combine our efforts and gifts with that of others to create the most productive existence of all. This is exhibited in marriages, families, schools, businesses, churches, sports, projects, nations, etc. Be consistent and patient in your efforts. This will require you to leave the comfort of self-absorption and continue on the path of greater than self to self-transcendence. It is a beautiful thing to create a future and a life that will bring enduring joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment. Success, like happiness, is the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than self. Don't imitate successful people, but seek what they sought. Consider your mentors this past year: Brown, Blankenbuehler, Bidell, Bowl, Camerota, Densley, Dowdy, Groth, O'Hara, Schaefer, Turner, Yerokostas, and many others. I'm inviting you to seek what the truly great have discovered and applied: self-transcendence. Just like graduation, it is not a destination, but a mark. Life is a journey in personal development that will allow you to build your unique legacy with others, bringing a lifetime of satisfaction.
It is now my pleasure to introduce you to our salutatorian, Mr. Ryan Evans.
The human brain is an amazing thing. They say it never stops working. Well, that is until you start standing in front of a large group of people like today. Moving on. With this honor I've been given, the opportunity to speak came along with it. And as I was contemplating on what my subject should be, the first piece of advice I heard at home comes to mind. Be yourself. Being a man of few words, I was quite excited upon hearing this. But I still needed a subject, and all I really knew was that I wanted to include my class. But what is a class? Or more specifically, what is the class here today, sitting in the front row? Well, on a class list, you would see the names: Claire, Rose, Cecilia, Mateo, Jorge, Nicholas, Ali, Parley, Cheryl, Maureen, Max, Elizabeth, Jordan, Melissa, Aiden, Brady, Rachel, Grace, Abby, and Jada. But that's not the half of it. Maureen is positive and not afraid to be herself. Cheryl is vertically challenged, smart, and capable. Brady is not vertically challenged, well-spoken, and courteous. Elizabeth, independent, is gifted in the arts, both visual and vocal. Melissa, considerate and dedicated, has a mission. Parley, a performer, is empathetic and service-oriented. Jada is self-disciplined, creative, and friendly. Rose can paint like no other and is as compassionate as she is talented. Max, amiable and sharp, can connect with anyone. Grace is thoughtful, has a big heart, and makes friends. Rachel, quiet but kind and selfless, cares about education. Mateo is a character, affable and philosophical with something to laugh about. Allie, adept and stylish, is not afraid to be a part of things. Jordan, a modest intellectual, is bright and hardworking. Aiden is a fighter, forceful, frank, and fearless. Cecilia is a ballet dancer, as charitable as she is graceful. Jorge is a deep thinker with a sense of humor dried for an especially long time. Abby, with a firm sense of who she is outspoken and a pioneer. Claire can be fiery, a courageous, understanding individual with a simple request for honesty. And Nick, a blacksmith, questioner, and loyal friend, a guy who won't let a bit of bad luck ruin his day. This is the John Adams Academy graduating class of 2016. In this class, there is a limitless potential for greatness. Every soon-to-be graduate here tonight has a future to choose. Because of this wonderful thing, often known as free will, no scholar here is destined to fail. We are all poised to succeed because behind each of the names and faces on the program, there is an individual unlike any other. And if history has taught us anything, the greatest successes enjoyed by mankind were primarily due to a person capitalizing on his or her unique skill set. But this boundless potential for greatness did not come entirely on its own. It was our mentors that sacrificed their time, their energy, to help make our potential limitless. Mentors, parents, teachers, coaches, and friends. They have supported us, shaped us, served us, shared laughs with us, and been there for us. How can anyone say thank you to that? I think the answer is quite simple. It is to succeed, to explore our boundless potential. We will thank all of our mentors by reaching upwards. We will realize our potential, the potential they have seen, and grow within us. Then we will become mentors ourselves. This is what I think of when I try to pin down just what exactly we, the class of 2016, are. A group with a boundless potential for greatness. More than any ordinary group, we are all extraordinary. Extraordinary individuals who have achieved success. We are a small group of people brought together by the dream of the founders of our school, Dr. and Mrs. Foreman. We are a part of that dream, and hopefully we are making that dream a reality tonight. Thank you.
It is now my great honor to give you that quiet intellectual, our valedictorian of the 2016 John Adams Academy, Miss Jordan Harris.
Before I begin my speech, I would just like to express my gratitude to God, my family, teachers, friends, and everyone else who has ever supported me in my life. Without you all, I wouldn't be standing here, and I certainly wouldn't be the person I am today. When I first started thinking about what to write for my speech, I was actually rather stumped. I could not think of anything original or inspiring to say that wouldn't make you all roll your eyes in virtual boredom. But then I realized that perhaps originality isn't what's important, because in the long run, life is really not about trying to be the best or about finding the one idea that will change the world. Rather, it's about doing your own best in everything you do. Every one of us is different, with our own individual abilities that define our best. And I think you'll find that the use of your own talents will have a larger impact than if you strive to find the one thing that will please everyone around you. So, as you listen to my speech, I hope you can find something in my words that speaks to you, even if it is not the first time you have heard the ideas in them. We have all seen, read, and heard the classic story of the underdog, told countless times in countless settings. It's the story of the multi-headed creature, the fiery dragon, the unbreakable curse. It's the story of the flawed hero, the prince armed with only a sword and a shield, the girl armed with only her wits and integrity. It's the story of how these protagonists overcome the odds, defeat their enemies, and emerge victorious. As high school graduates, though, I'm sure you all think these kinds of stories are rather cheesy and unrealistic. After all, since when was it ever possible to defeat seemingly impossible odds and then end up with a happily ever after? However, as G.K. Chesterton once stated, quote, "Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us dragons exist, but because they tell us dragons can be beaten." After today, we leave to face the world with a new sense of independence and curiosity, but we are also filled with uncertainty. After all, we are facing the unknown, an unfamiliar world filled with all kinds of monsters that we are afraid of, simply because we are human, and no one is completely fearless. Therefore, no matter where you go, always strive to do first what is right and to do it well, in spite of the fear or uncertainty you may face. That is all the heroes and heroines ever did, and though they are fictional, we still respect the virtuous actions that led to their success. So, as you begin the next chapter of your life, consider the significance of your own endeavors. By your actions, you will build the life that defines who you are and who you want to be. By your actions, you will determine if your life is one ruled by the monsters you encounter, or if it is illustrated by the testimony of joyful victory. Looking back upon the 2 years I've spent at John Adams, I think it's safe to conclude, as our class advisor, Mr. Turner, would say, for our class, the cheese was not always on the cracker. In other words, we often lacked a little self-governance when it came to getting things done in an organized manner. In the end, however, we broke barriers. We set new traditions. We braved the storm while this school changed in leadership, size, and location. Yes, we struggled with senioritis as we strove to complete the senior thesis, finish the over 700-page long Brothers Karamazov, write the senior speech, and successfully complete our finals, all within these last few months with the stress of fundraising for our senior trip in the back of our minds because, well, we procrastinated in that too. Yes, we were not very efficient, but in the end, we pulled through. Mistakes were made, but we did our best to learn from them and move forward. After all, that is why we are here today. We are all moving forward along our own paths. Many of us will be leaving for college, a path that will lead to universities throughout California and across the country. A few of our paths continue close to home, and one of us will pursue the path of military service. A few of our paths, In the end, however, no matter where we're going or which path we take, we are all going somewhere that will push us to exceed our own limits and redefine what it means to do our best work. So, yes, we are not perfect, but we are also a class that exemplifies perseverance, creativity, and individuality, qualities that have shaped the class of 2016 into a class that is far from normal, but as authentic as they come. Seniors, remember that moment 6 days ago on the beach in San Francisco. Remember when we stood together and gazed at the darkening sky. Remember the soft waves reaching for our toes in the sand, and the wind enveloping our bodies as our ears grew numb from the ocean cold. With this image, this memory in mind, think of everything that's happened in your life so far. You have faced all kinds of adversity, and you will encounter even more challenges when our paths diverge today. But you have braved the storm. You learned from your experiences and from the teachers, friends, and family who are here today to celebrate this moment with you. But remember to always keep learning, even when this moment is gone, because that is the only way we can actually grow in wisdom. So expand your limits, for if you keep reaching for your best, those limits will never be reached. And that is truly what we celebrate today. Today, we celebrate the hope in the countless possibilities as the memories and lessons from the past push us forward into the future beyond the horizon. In closing, I would like to share with you the words of the esteemed writer Mark Twain. Quote, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bow lines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. My fellow graduates, never settle for anything less than your best, because that is what you deserve. We made it this far, but this is only the beginning of something much greater than 4 years of high school. So here's to a new beginning. Thank you, and God bless you in the journey ahead.
Thank you, Ryan and Jordan. I now have the pleasure of introducing our ensemble choir, Virtus, directed by Mr. Greg Blankenbuehler.
Class of 2016, esteemed guests, at the heart of John Adams Academy are the core values. Values which, when lived out by our staff, our scholars, and our parents, provide the foundation for fulfillment of our mission to restore America's heritage. We can agree with the core values, we can appreciate them, we can understand them, and we can talk about them, but they will never achieve their full impact unless we live them. It is not enough to desire restoration. Success requires action. History is filled with the names of those who acted, who answered the call to be greater than self in the service of others. We don't have to look back into the annals of history to find examples of servant leaders taking action to preserve the first principles of our nation. We have many examples among us here today, including our keynote speaker. Dr. John C. Eastman is founding director of the Claremont Institute's Center for Constitutional Jurisprudence and currently serves as the Henry Salvatore Professor of Law and Community Service at Chapman University's Dale E. Fowler School of Law. He is also a senior fellow of the Claremont Institute. Dr. Eastman received his Bachelor of Arts from the University of Dallas and Master of Arts and Doctorate in Government from Claremont Graduate School. He completed his studies at the University of Chicago Law School, earning his Juris Doctorate in 1995, and immediately took a position clerking for Judge Michael Ludig in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit. From 1996 to 1997, he served as a law clerk with the Honorable Justice Clarence Thomas in the United States Supreme Court. After concluding his clerkship, Dr. Eastman took a position with Kirkland & Ellis in Los Angeles until 1999. Upon leaving the firm Kirkland & Ellis, Dr. Eastman took up his current post teaching at Chapman University, where he served as dean from 2007 to 2010 until he stepped down to pursue a bid for California Attorney General. He also founded the Center for Constitutional Jurisprudence in 1999 and has served as its director since that time. Dr. Eastman also serves as the chairman of the National Organization for Marriage and is on the advisory board for the St. Thomas More Society of Orange County. He has been recognized by Chapman University as Professor of the Year and for faculty excellence in scholarly and creative activity. Additionally, he received the St. Thomas More Award from Franciscan University and the J. Reuben Clark Award from the J. Reuben Clark Society of Orange County. Dr. Eastman is a prolific author. Selections of his scholarly writings have been published in Freedom and the Rule of Law, the New York University Journal of Law and Liberty, and the BYU Law Journal, among many others. Dr. Eastman has been invited several times to address various committees of Congress on topics including President Obama's executive order on immigration and the IRS's felonious disclosure of tax returns. In the courtroom, Dr. Eastman has represented 17 parties before the Supreme Court of the United States and has also represented many, many amici brief, friend of the court briefs before the Supreme Court. Dr. Eastman has appeared on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, BBC World News, and PBS. He has been a frequent guest on radio broadcasts. His writings and commentary on the courts and the Constitution have appeared in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, National Review, The Economist, The Atlantic, Slate, the National Catholic Register, and the American Bar Association Journal. The list goes on and on. As his long list of accomplishments demonstrates, Dr. Eastman has clearly made the choice to act. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present to you our commencement speaker, Dr. John C. Eastman.
Thank you very much. We ought to keep going on that introduction. That was really kind. I've got to tell you, I am so impressed with the caliber of students and the program that you all put together here. Congratulations to you all, to Headmaster Brown, to all the people that organized and created this wonderful thing. Congratulations to you in particular, the class of 2016, as you embark and hit this moment of independence. Welcome now to the age of responsibility. Preparing my remarks this evening provided me the opportunity to get to know your academy a lot better, and to, in particular, know the Headmaster's High School book list. And I must say, wow. If you have managed to get through that list of books, or even a good portion of them, and your teachers would undoubtedly assure me that you have, then you are already better educated than most of your school-age peers will be even after they graduate from college 4 years from now. It's a stunning accomplishment, what you have already achieved. So if I were to deliver a commencement address about the odyssey of higher education upon which many of you are about to embark, you would know what I meant because you've read, studied, and probably even enjoyed Homer's great work on the original Odyssey, that of Odysseus, king of Ithaca, during his long 10-year return from the Trojan War. I never understood why it took him 10 years to go that short distance, but that's another thing. You would therefore know that by choosing the word Odyssey, I might well be counseling you to avoid the siren song of temptation, or to chart a careful course in life between the dangers of Scylla and Charybdis, or to emulate the virtues and loyalty of Penelope. I would not need to explain my meaning further because it would be already evident to you as a result of your familiarity with that work and those tales. If I were to engage you in a fun trivia challenge by asking, what day was I born, if I told you that it was the day Rome was founded, that's the month and day, not the year. I'm not that old. I suspect at least a couple of you might recall the precise day from the life of Romulus in Plutarch's Lives of the Noble Greek and Romans. And if I were to counsel, I'm not going to tell you, you're going to have to go look it up. If I were to counsel you to keep in mind that word noble as you pursue your goals in life, but to do so prudently rather than quixotically. I suspect your study of Shakespeare's great works on statesmanship, or of Churchill, or the American founders' great works, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, would equip you well to understand my meaning. Indeed, one of the things that most impressed me with your course of study here is that you've studied not only our nation's founders, great leaders like Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, and your Academy's namesake, John Adams. I noticed there's an Adams in the graduating class and another Abigail in the graduating class. It's wonderful to see all that come together. But you've also studied the many of the books that our nation's founders themselves studied that equipped them to launch this magnificent experiment in self-government. The Greek philosophers, Plato and Aristotle, the Greek historians, Herodotus and Thucydides, the Roman historians, Livy and Tacitus, and also Plutarch, John Locke's 2 treatises on government, Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. This is a marvelous education. I also know from my review of your curriculum here, from such works as Augustine's Confessions and Dante's Divine Comedy, that you've had ample opportunity to study and reflect upon the highest aspirations of our lives here on earth. And that is to lead virtuous lives with the hope of eternal salvation. But you have also encountered works that have confronted great moral failings of mankind and threats to our pursuit of noble happiness and salvation. Works like Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and George Orwell's 1984. And you undoubtedly learned a level of discernment that will help you meet the challenges that lie ahead. And it is to those challenges I want to turn for a moment. You see, while you've been studying here these past years, the world around you, around us, has been working very hard to disavow the fundamental and immutable truths that in one way or another were explored in the great works you have studied, and that were such a critical foundation for this nation. It is almost as if modernity is relishing in the very thing the prophet Isaiah once counseled against. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who change darkness into light and light into darkness, who change bitter into sweet and sweet into bitter. Now, by the way, Isaiah also had some pretty good advice in the very next verse for those heading off to college. Woe to those who are wise in their own sight and prudent in their own esteem. Woe to the champions at drinking wine and valiant at mixing strong drink. It's good advice. Now, because you have become so good at carefully reading texts and listening to them, you'll notice that he doesn't actually tell you to avoid those things altogether. Just don't be the champion of them. And I'm not telling you not to have any fun at college either. Just not so much fun that you need to write a book of confessions as long as St. Augustine's was. Back to those who call evil good and good evil. Our politics today seems inclined more toward propaganda and language manipulation that was on display in Orwell's 1984 than the reasoned, deliberative judgment rooted in moral virtue that our founders relied on as the surest foundation of Republican governments. A few years back, for example, the people of California voted in a state constitutional provision that prevents felons, that is, those who have violated in a rather serious way the rules of our civil society, that prevents those felons from voting while they are imprisoned or on parole. But our legislature decided to create a new category of parole called supervised release. And then the court upheld that linguistic sleight of hand and ordered those paroled felons who are on supervised release, not parole, to be allowed to vote, contrary to the pretty clearly expressed will of the people. Their next gambit is to say that all those felons that have been realigned from state prison to county jails are really not in prison, but only in jail. And so the ban on imprisoned felons voting doesn't apply either. You see how we manipulate the language. Back in Washington, D.C., the manipulation of language to advance agendas not authorized by law has become rampant. Take the Affordable Care Act, for example. As we've learned, even the word affordable in its name was a manipulative misnomer. But the act also includes a mandate that insurance companies provide preventive care without cost sharing, that is, for free. Now, I know you all read Milton Friedman, and you probably learned from him that there is no such thing as a free lunch, but I digress. What everybody understood at the time was that preventive care meant things like breast cancer screening and other early detection tests for life-threatening diseases. But in the hands of our federal bureaucrats and their Orwellian, see, you know that word too, Orwellian doublespeak, preventative care got extended to wellness care, and that got extended to covering contraceptives and abortifacients, which yield the serious threats to religious liberty that were on display in some recent Supreme Court cases, like Hobby Lobby and, of all things, the Little Sisters of the Poor. Or take another example. You'll often hear about cuts in government budgets, even though the budget is actually higher than the year before. Cut now means less of an increase than was desired by those putting the budget together. And you may have heard just this week the news that a boy who believes he's a girl just won the Alaska State Girls Track and Field Championship. And increasingly, our First Amendment right to the free exercise of religion is being recharacterized as a freedom to worship, which confines that fundamental unalienable right to live according to one's religious conscience to the four walls of the house of worship, not outside in the public square. And it provides a platform for the argument increasingly being made in our nation's courts that one does not have a right to exercise one's religion in public. Now, what do these seemingly disparate things all have in common? They are all based on a manipulation of language. And the problem is much bigger than the policy disputes at issue in any one of those given examples. For you see, if the words can be manipulated like this, then words cease to have any meaning at all. And without meaning to our language, how can great ideas, or even small ideas, be passed on one generation to the next, or even one person to the next? How can we have a government rooted in reflection and choice if we have no common language to reflect upon? What can we mean by the rule of law if the language of the law has no meaning? What defense can be made of the self-evident truths and unalienable rights of our Declaration of Independence if the very idea of truth is infinitely malleable? Now, why do I raise this at a high school graduation speech? Well, it's because it is to you whom will fall the task of standing for the truth about these things and the task of defending religious liberty and other liberties. And I'm delighted to see how well the education you have received here at John Adams Academy has prepared you for these tasks. But these things are profoundly important, not just to religious liberty, and indeed liberty more broadly, but to the fate of our nation as well. You see, they strike at the heart of the moral foundation, at the heart of the most important institutions, a foundation that our founders thought to be essential to the Republican forms of government they created. The Declaration of Rights in the Virginia Constitution of 1776, which you may have come across in your classes, provides that no free government or the blessings of liberty can be preserved to any people but by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, and by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles. Boy, doesn't that sound a lot like the idea that guides the curriculum and the classes that you've been involved with here? President Washington, in his farewell address, reminded that none of this would be possible if we didn't rely on religion. Religion and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. Modernity's rejection of moral virtue and moral truth is even relevant, much less necessary to modern political life. And its despising of religion and the salutary education and virtue that fosters, therefore threatens to put our republican institutions on the funeral pyre of history. I could go on at length about the risks ahead, but we want to celebrate today. So let me turn a moment briefly to ask all of you in the front row to stand up for a moment and turn around and help me acknowledge those who have sacrificed so much of their time and their talents, their treasure to make your education at this fine institution possible. Join me just for a moment in applauding your parents for the selflessness they have exhibited for getting you here. Now, parents, don't bask too long in that. You guys can sit down now, that's good. Because you know as well as I do that there's a selfish aspect of your work here. We've all lived long enough to know that eventually the baton of leadership passes to the next generation. It's important that that generation be well trained to receive it. We are celebrating the first step in that transition tonight, and what a wonderful thing it is. We have a vested interest in ensuring that they take that baton from us, that those who take that baton from us are equipped to continue the fight for liberty nobly and well. And from what I've seen here tonight and what I know of this academy, you have done a marvelous job. I thank you for all for that. Our very freedom depends on it, as does theirs, and as does the freedom of future generations to follow. So back to you, the class of 2016. You've received an education in the great moral, self-evident truths of nature and nature's God. You've been equipped with the tools to continue and advance that education even further. You've also been inoculated by your training against the pernicious claims of modernity. But truth be told, you've been rather insulated from the evils of our culture in ways that will no longer be true as you venture beyond these halls, beyond these walls, beyond the watchful eyes of your parents, and beyond the close tutelage of your mentors and teachers. Truth be told, you will each face, sooner or later, your own siren's song of temptation to succumb to the moral relativism of our day and to help wash away into obscurity the foundational principles of our nation. My prayer for each of you, and by extension for all of us, is that you will be equal to the task of defending all that makes this great nation exceptional. So approach those temptations, those challenges, as an opportunity to prove your mettle, an opportunity to prove your gratitude for the armor with which your friends, your teachers, and your parents have provided you for the battles of life that lie ahead. So that in the end, you will be like the servant whose success with the tools and talents entrusted to him by his master yielded the following praise and invitation as reflected in the Gospel of St. Matthew. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Since you were faithful in small matters, I give you great responsibilities. Come share your master's joy. And in the meantime, we all join in sharing in your joy on this day, in your accomplishments, and in the wonderful life's journey that lies ahead for each of you. Godspeed and good luck.
Dr. Eastman, thank you for sharing with us today. All right, the moment's here. Board of Directors, Dr. Foreman, I would now like to recommend the class of 2016 for graduation.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we accept your recommendation.
I'm Claire Adams. I like pictures and pancakes and playing my guitar, and no, I am not related to John Adams in any way. I feel like the past 3 years I've spent at John Adams would have made a really good sitcom, kind of like The Office. I'd play Jim Halpert, and you'd make a game of counting the amount of times I look at the camera completely perplexed. It's been a wild ride, this whole high school thing, and an undoubtedly tough one. I've lost a lot throughout the process, my sanity included, but I've gained a voice I didn't realize I even had. A voice I promise to use with purpose. I will be attending Azusa Pacific University this fall and hope to study psychology or social work. I've always felt called to work with people who are hurting. I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, and my sister Brooke for encouraging me and inspiring me and enduring my countless rants. I would be nothing without you. You make me brave.
Claire Adams.
My name is Rose Brennan, and when I first came to John Adams halfway through junior year, I wasn't very enthusiastic. All I had heard about the school prior to entering was that it was academically challenging, and this did not excite me at all. However, I came to like the new school, the education I received, and most of all, my new teachers. What has brought me the greatest joy in these last 2 years of attending John Adams has been the ability to contribute to building a culture of greatness. I enjoy learning and discovering truths, but more than that, I love to portray those truths and share them with others through my God-given gifts, like artistry, music, and writing. I am grateful for the people I have met through this school, the lessons they have taught me, and the love and dedication they have shown. I want to especially thank my parents and teachers for guiding me through this process of growth, and my friends for taking the journey with me. I consider it a privilege to graduate from this school, and I hope and pray it will prosper and grow, continuing to inspire its scholars to think critically and act virtuously, not just at school, but in the world and for the rest of their lives.
Rose Brennan.
My name is Cecilia Byers. I came to John Adams Academy at the beginning of my junior year, and it has been a very rewarding experience. I will admit that it wasn't always easy. It has had its challenges, but I do know that the classical education at this school has prepared me fully for college. I plan to attend Ave Maria University in Florida, where I hope to study to become a registered nurse. I will cherish all of the memories and most especially the friends that I have made here in the past few years. I don't think that I could have made it through the year without your support. I want to thank especially my parents who have always been there for me. You have sacrificed so much in the past years especially, and I couldn't have gotten here without you. I am so grateful that I get to graduate with the class of 2016.
Cecilia Byers.
My name is Matteo Camerata. I was born over 18 years ago into a family who at the time would have been considered small with only 3 children. Since then, my family has grown. I now have 8 siblings. I came to John Adams Academy my junior year. I had no idea what to expect, but it wasn't long before I had made lots of new friends. My time at John Adams Academy was a beneficial, adventurous, transformative, memorable, and nerve-wracking experience. The piles of homework and hours of study material quickly taught me that procrastination probably wasn't a good strategy for getting through my classes. Now that I am finally graduating high school and getting ready to go into the world, the advice I once received comes to mind. Don't go out with the intent to change the world. The world isn't what you need to change. Go out with the intent to do good, because that is what will change you.
Matteo Camerota.
I'm Jorge Castano and I've been at the school since it started about 5 years ago. I cannot say the school as a whole has had a large effect on me, but it has let me learn about interesting ideas from past thinkers as well as preparing me for college. The one class I believe that was most helpful in preparing me to be a thinker would have to be the only logic class the school had during sophomore year. That class actually teaches to think from a rational and neutral perspective and how to spot fallacies that are used in everyday life. My most enjoyable class would have to be anatomy during freshman year with Mr. Turner, an interesting man who always had a story to tell, as well as being a respectable figure who actually loves the scholars. I am not leaving the school as an intellectual, but I hope to eventually become one in my life through my own research and thought. I have no big plans for the future, but wherever I end up I will make sure to be a useful, thoughtful, and moral person.
Jorge Castano.
My name is Nicholas Heath Clopton. I'm the third-born child out of the 7 children born to Kirk and Cherie Clopton. I came to John Adams Academy in my sophomore year of high school, and when I first arrived here, I was a stubborn, argumentative, and rather blunt boy. I leave here now as a stubborn, argumentative, and slightly less blunt man. I do not regret coming to this school, as I have received an invaluable education on how to be free, and I thank the school and all of the faculty here, especially Mr. Turner, for making me into the man I am today. If you are to leave the school with anything, let it be to give your friends more mercy than you would have them show to you. Be virtuous for the sake of freedom and for virtue, and to do your best for the sake of being your greatest self.
Nicholas Clopton.
Hi, my name is Allie Costello, and I've been at John Adams Academy for 5 years. This school has changed my life. I am so thankful for the love and support that I've received from my mentors and family. Everyone at John Adams Academy has become my second family. It's been a fun ride, and we made so many great memories together that I will never forget. I'm ready to start a new adventure and to see what wonderful things the rest of the senior class will accomplish because of our classical education. The senior class has taught me the importance of being a leader and having the courage to stand up for what I believe in. Thank you to everyone that made this school possible. In college, I want to work in criminal justice and empower women to stand up for their rights.
Allie Costello.
Despite my valiant efforts with Wikipedia, SparkNotes, and Google to procrastinate projects and circumvent pressing deadlines in an effort to avoid what I used to see as boring busy work, I've actually buckled down and attained an education. My teachers have been the greatest mentors I have ever known. They have fostered in me an unquenchable desire for knowledge that I will seek to satisfy through the remainder of my life, and a love for virtue that I will continue to cultivate. I have been inspired to have a substantial positive impact upon the world. I plan to do so one patient at a time after obtaining my doctorate in medicine. My first step in that process will be in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I will be taking classes from BYU until I depart to serve a 2-year mission for my church. I love God, I love my family, and I love my friends. I hope to be able to continue to associate with the many people I have come to love throughout these past 4 years, and thank all of you for the love and support you have given.
Parley Dufort.
Oh, thanks. Can I have a second before we take this picture? Don't judge me. My pocket's right here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Enriquez, and I have attended John Adams Academy for all 5 years. My time here, although has not made me grow physically, has developed my values, my intellect, and my philosophy. Over the years, I have learned many things from the people here. Mrs. Schaefer taught me how to write some impressive essays. Mrs. Harris taught me how to remain mentally stable during moments of high stress, and I learned that I am indeed smarter than a 5th grader. I'll never forget the memories and friendships I made here. I would like to thank my teachers, my friends, my dogs, my family, and above all else, my mom for always being there for me and supporting me throughout my journey. I love all of you.
Cheryl Enriquez.
It's weird how 4 years could seem so long in 2012, yet now they've passed and it doesn't seem real. I owe more thank yous than I know how to give, because I definitely didn't complete this journey on my own. Thanks to many though, I have, and it's been an enjoyable journey. In fact, I've enjoyed it so much, I'm going to spend another 4 years at college, continuing my education. After a nice long summer, of course, fishing and enjoying the carefree life before adulthood. Looking back, I can't find any one grand awakening moment while I've been at John Adams, but rather a series of small instances, compiled brick by brick, which have set the foundation for a future life of servant leadership. Amidst the seemingly eternal pattern of days spent waking up, hopefully learning, and getting ready to wake up and learn some more, I've made 2 observations that, together, acquainted me with success. Working hard is useful, and laughing hard is necessary. Maybe someday if I'm famous you can quote that.
Ryan Evans.
John Adams Academy, born and raised. Time with the classic spending teenage days. Academics is my new bay. One more minute and my brain will decay. But Mr. Turner said, hey, listen to me. You're very unmotivated today. Why do you hate the US of A? Unlike our president, Jamie McKay. So I said, okay, DFTBA. I gotta go see Miss Desley today. Cause in her class I want an A. Cause I really love the US of A. Just like a president, Jamie McKay. I would like to thank my father and I'd like to thank my mother. I want to thank my sister and I want to thank my brother. Together we've all learned to love one another, and rain and shine and fog, snow and other. Thank you, kind friends, you're so dear to my heart. My love for you goes off the chart. Now that I'm done with high school and drama, I want to go to college and learn to be a mama.
I've spent a lot of time fighting the system. So much, in fact, that I have grown oblivious to the beneficial aspects of this school. It was very hard for me to come up with positive things to say about this place, due to how hard I've been going against the grain. There was a point in my senior year when I had the opportunity to leave the school along with some other scholars. So I was able to come up with some ideas when I remember asking myself, why stay? I thought back to my time at public school and how the general populace is far lacking in virtue and values. The core values are often used as vessels for jokes from scholars.
However, they are what help set us apart from other schools in the state. The general mindset of the student body is far less selfish and more inclined to be benevolent to one another than that of a general public school. This academy has a very communal and helpful nature about it, from the scholars to the faculty. Everyone attempts to embrace the core values of the school in an attempt to better themselves, and this is what creates an overall culture of greatness. And this is why I have stayed at John Adams Academy.
Max Friels.
My name is Elizabeth Gartner, and I came to John Adams Academy my sophomore year in high school. Transferring to a new school after experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety my freshman year was one of the most challenging things I've ever had to go through, but it's not something that I would give up for the world. At the start of my time here, I was quick to criticize the methodology of the school and to judge the people I was surrounded by. I was confounded by the realization that I didn't know who I was or what I stood for. I was scared of standing out and of acting in a way that revealed anything but apathy for my surroundings. But the thing that I love most about this school is that it produces scholars that have a passion for learning and growing as individuals. For the first time in my life, I felt as though I could pursue my interests in academics without feeling ashamed. Throughout my time at this school, I've developed a deep understanding and appreciation for the power of creativity, art, and literature by observing the passionate insights in others. In the future, I hope more than anything to be the one to incite this passion in others.
Elizabeth Gertner.
My name is Jordan Harris, and in the beginning of my junior year, I came to John Adams Academy. At first, I wasn't too crazy about the changes that came with transferring to such a different school, but I have learned to appreciate the opportunities that John Adams has helped me to discover and pursue. It was here that I developed my appreciation for the boundless world of literature and the limitless creativity of writing, both of which I would like to further explore as I begin the next chapter of my life. I don't know exactly what I want to do in my future, but I have found that I'm okay with this uncertainty. I see it as another opportunity to embrace the endless possibilities that the unknown represents. I would like to thank all of the people in my life who have helped me find the courage to embrace it, but most of all, thank you for helping me find my voice.
Jordan Harris.
Hello, my name is Melissa Johnston. I have been attending John Adams since the 8th grade. Coming here has taught me how to truly enjoy learning. The passion that my teachers had in creating servant leaders has encouraged me to take every opportunity that is ahead. I am so lucky that I had wonderful mentors who believed in me and wanted me to succeed. I don't know how I could ever repay them for all their selfless love and support. My parents have been a tremendous blessing. They have taught me the importance of living a righteous life where I can inspire others. I am also so grateful for my wonderful friends who have uplifted and changed me for the better. Now I am preparing to serve a full-time mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I can't wait to go and serve my Heavenly Father who has given me so much.
Melissa Johnston.
I began my journey at John Adams Academy halfway through my sophomore year. John Adams Academy has exposed me to the value of the individual and how through questioning one's circumstances and place in society can their own standing be improved. I have struggled with multiple hurdles through school, which have turned me into the person I am today. While the Academy has also presented me with challenges that I have had to solve on my own as an individual, and I have attained a higher level of personal excellence because of my trials. Although I did not enjoy my time at school, education has provided opportunities which will allow me to remain knowledgeable and free. After high school, I plan to attend Diablo Valley College, and as my future becomes clear to me, I know my journey in life will always be meaningful because I am a well-educated patriot. I would like to thank my mentor and good friend Jason Turner for his guidance and friendship during my time at the Academy. Lastly, I would like to thank my mother for her help and love throughout my high school career.
Aiden LaCroix.
I'm Brady Lundwig. My educational journey started in 7th grade. My English teacher's name was Mrs. Moniz. It will suffice to say that she was a force to be reckoned with. Her blunt passion for common sense made me want to be a grown-up. That became my biggest passion as a kid, growing up. In my first year of high school, I learned how a man can live a full life and still think and act like a child, though his thoughts and actions may contain some adult content. Through my Catholic faith, I managed to avoid that, though it's a lonely world out there for maturing teenagers. I came to John Adams Academy for the last half of my junior year, and it was awesome. I came back the next fall to what seemed like a different school. The vision of the school's founders seemed somehow lost. I spent this last year at John Adams Academy with two goals in mind. Firstly, to become a man. Secondly, to restore the quality in this school, which nurtured kids into adults. Unfortunately, I haven't reached that last goal yet. As for being a man, I don't know if I'm there or not. I don't want to be a man for the sake of my pride, but for the benefit of those around me. I'm going to Sac State this fall for a master's degree in social work. I'm going to be a family counselor. So, John Adams, if I haven't worn out my welcome, I'd like to help finish what the foreman started, whatever form that may take.
Brady Lendoweg.
Hello, my name is Rachel Milligan, and I have had the privilege of attending John Adams Academy for the past 5 years. During my time here, I have learned so much about myself and the importance of education through great books such as Plato's Republic. The devoted teachers, classical learning, and incredible friends I have encountered molded me into the person that I am today. I may not have come out of my shell, but I have progressed a lot. I can still be that quiet girl who doesn't say much, but I've learned that I have a voice which matters. Learning to open up to people and new ideas was difficult for me, but it has proven to be incredibly rewarding. Due to the impact learning has had on me, I have chosen to pursue a degree in teaching. I have so much gratitude for all of the people who have made my high school experience great. I will take with me everything I have learned and become because of them.
Rachel Milligan.
Hello, my name is Grace. I have been at JAA for 3 years. JAA has changed me to be a better person. I have learned that I can overcome hard trials, speak in public, and learn to love reading. Thomas S. Monson said, "We learn and grow and become stronger as we face and survive the trials through which we must pass." I want to thank my friends, family, and all my teachers for all the love and support they give me through the hard times. Thank you. Some things that I love to do when I'm out of school are walk dogs, babysit, ride horses, hang out with friends and family, and serve my calling at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I will be attending BYU Idaho in the fall and majoring in entrepreneurship. I want to work with animals and be a wonderful wife and mother someday. I am excited to see what my future comes out to be.
Grace Sneed.
My name is Abby Serrano Chavez. I'm 17 years old and a graduating senior at John Adams Academy. I like to sing, write, read, spend time with my family and closest friends. These past few years in John Adams Academy, I've learned a lot about who I am, who I want to become, and what I want to leave behind. I've decided to attend BYU Idaho and major in forensic psychology and minor in English teaching. In John Adams Academy, I've made eternal memories and long-lasting friendships. I'm extremely thankful for all my teachers, friends, and family who worked alongside me to get me to where I am today. I'm especially excited for the next chapter of my life and all that the future is yet to bring. Finally, and most importantly, I wanted to take this time to thank my parents. Mami y papi, todo esto es para ustedes y todos sus sacrificios. Los amo con todo mi corazón. Son los mejores padres de todo el mundo. Gracias por todo lo que hacen por mí, and for teaching me que sí se puede and to always be proud of my roots. This Mexicana is finally off to college. We did it. Thank you.
Abigail Serrano.
My name is Jada Summers, no middle name, and I have attended John Adams for the last 5 years. John Adams is the 6th school I've attended, and moving that much has given my dad ample opportunities to recite his favorite saying, "Moving doesn't mean losing friends, it simply means making room for new ones." As I go on to BYU Provo to become a veterinarian, I'm sure my dad will find some time to say his phrase again. I would like to thank Mr. Turner for being my science teacher these last years, as well as advisor. I would also like to thank Ms. Schaefer for growing my love of books by opening new genres to me. I want to thank Ms. Groth for putting up with me in 7th grade, AP History, and for being my grandma. Finally, I want to thank my mom, dad, brother, and sister for supporting me in my dreams and all the nonsense that I can do. Also, thank you to Folsom Zoo for inspiring my dream.
Jada Summers. Class of 2016, will you please rise? This celebration today has been full of symbolism, from the gowns you wear, to the cords around your neck, to the caps on your head. But one of the symbols that we have yet to celebrate is the symbol of the tassel, a decoration to your cap, and a turning point in your life. Class of 2016, graduates, you may now turn your tassel. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the graduating class of 2016 John Adams Academy. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And can you please remain seated as we retire the colors? Graduates, you may take your leave. Remain standing, please. The paper says sit down. We welcome you all to join us for a small reception outside. Graduates, you may now take your leave.